obviously restrictions were lifted on Monday, and straight
Mm.
away Boris said, "Oh yeah, but come September, once all over 18s have had the chance to be vaccinated, we might start implementing this thing where you have to be double vax in order to go into clubs." Now, what do we think about that in particular?
It's not just clubs, is it? It's like any like big gatherings, basically.
Yeah, I think clubs was the main example used, but it's basically like large gatherings of people. Yeah,
I think it's fine. Like, I don't know actually. I don't know because on the one hand, it's like on the one hand, it's a bit difficult because they could just require a negative COVID test. Like I swear, it does the
yeah,
same thing. And in some ways, it does mean that like because at the end of the day, like body autonomy is like it's a civil liberty.
yeah,
So people should have the right to decide whether or not they want to get vaxxed. Ultimately, obviously that there is an argument that it's for the greater good of society. Yeah, fine, but you also can't take away someone's personal body autonomy. Um, so in some ways, it does kind of like coerce them into it. I guess like it makes it difficult for them to not be to choose to not be vaccinated.
yeah. I mean, I personally, I think what you're saying about it takes away that body autonomy, and in my opinion, I am pro-vaccine. I've had it
Yeah,
myself.
same,
However,
same.
like you say, um, negative tests can provide the same thing. Obviously,
Yeah,
it would be great if everyone could be vaccinated because having the vaccine obviously makes you less likely to transmit and also makes you less
yeah,
likely to react badly to COVID. However, saying to people that you can't go to a certain place unless you have injected something into your body, I
yeah,
don't agree with that, and I think it's very silly.
yeah.
I also think it's very silly of them to have said that because all that's going to do is make the people who are against the vaccine just not want to take it even more.
Yeah, because it makes it seem more booky, isn't it? Like because then you're literally like it's coercion at some point. Do you know what I mean? Like to take away certain kind of like privileges for people who aren't double vaccinated. That it does come across as coercion.
I agree with like the vaccine rollout, the way it has gone, like it's been really good, and the encouragement of people to get the vaccine. I obviously stand fully behind. Like I'm single vaccinated, I've not had my second one yet, but I am pro-vaccine as well. But I think as soon as you introduce the element of you can't attend certain things or you can't partake in certain things without that vaccine,
Mm,
especially
mm,
when there is a perfectly adequate alternative option available, that's when you kind of start erring on the side of coercion. And like you said, Halima, it looks spooky. Like it looks
yeah,
really us from them
Yeah,
to be like, you need this vaccine to now participate in all the things that you were doing without the
mm,
vaccine 2 years ago.
yeah,
You can't tell people to go back to their normal lives, but the only way you can do it is with a vaccine when they've had 20, 30 plus years of doing that just fine before.
mm.
yeah,
And it does. I think it either shows like how much the government doesn't, in my opinion, how much the government doesn't care, or it shows how much out of touch they are with the general young community. I reckon one of them might have thought like, oh, like this is a good way to basically, like you say, coerce them into it, but they won't have properly thought about the fact that this is just going to make them not want to
it's gonna
take it
cause more
even more.
resistance
Yeah,
ultimately.
like all it's going to do is if this does come into play in September, October when they're planning it, again, not I'm not condoning this, but I reckon there'll either be protests against it or there will be loads of illegal raves again. Like that's what's gonna
That's what
happen.
it is. This is what the thing is like, and this is not just with vaccines, but when governments make anything illegal, all it does is open up a black market.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
literally all it does. Is it doesn't actually stop that thing. It just makes it a black market. So it's better. It's actually on behalf of the government, even if they genuinely believe like what they're doing is the right decision, a government who is controlling a large like body politic, it actually makes more sense for them to be realistic and understand that not everyone will want to go for this option and therefore be able to regulate other options, other alternatives realistically and more better
hmm for sure.
rather than say this is the one only option and everyone has to do it knowing that it will open up like black markets.
hmm I think as well the it does just kind of lend itself to this general feeling of or an authoritarian society that the government seems to be edging towards, especially if you guys seen about that law that they're looking to get passed, which would, following the Matt Hancock scenario, would allow journalists to face up to 14
Oh
years,
my God.
in prison if they embarrass the government. But
what is that about? Like, I don't understand. How is that within the realm of like law and order?
but surely that's like freedom of speech, and people are entitled to like know, you know what I mean, freedom of the press.
Exactly. Exactly. No, it literally is. It's censorship at the end of the day. It's
Yeah.
actually censorship.
I think obviously there should be laws in place in regards to defamation, and also in regards to
Incitement of hatred, all of these things. Yeah.
like protecting people's mental health, etc. But just quote unquote embarrassing the government. Also, why is it the government that gets the special treatment? Surely it should be anyone if we're going to be like stopping people from getting embarrassed.
Exactly. And all it means is like to embarrass. I mean, and the Tories have a lot to be embarrassed about, in my opinion. All it does is give them mandate to act with impunity. Like, honestly, it just gives them mandate to just do whatever the hell they want. And now there's no media backlash, and media is the primary way that people obviously are informed of what's going on, and the primary way where people can kind of like voice and demonstrate dissent as well. So
For sure. And I think in regards also obviously the police and crime bill that got passed as well,
yeah.
it's just I don't understand like how they think people aren't going to like notice this theme that seems to be emerging of just more
And
more.
the refugee, the one of the laws
Oh
talking
yeah.
about the refugees on boats, you can't rescue them.
Yeah, it's
What
a
on
crime.
earth?
If you save someone's life from drowning, you're gonna get arrested. Like, how does that make any
This
sense?
Priti Patel, yeah, she's actually worse than Thanos. Like, in my opinion, like I don't understand. Like, this woman is a real life villain. What happened to her? What actually happened to her?